Hello boxing fans. So today I wanna address kinda hot topic in the world of boxing today. What's next for Adrien the Problem Broner? So we all witnessed his fight against Manny Pacquiao, which was an entertaining fight. Uh, Talking about the fight itself, I think I was surprised by the shape of Adrien Broner. A lot of people were criticizing his performance, and I also gonna criticize his performance. But in shape, he was in a hell of a shape. Talking about that, he was extremely fast. He was extremely sharp. He just couldn't throw. He just couldn't find his rhythm. The problems that he had in a fight were psychological, not physical. At the times he seemed to me like he has the faster hands in the ring. The difference is that Pacquiao is a master at putting his opponents off the rhythm, off their game. Everybody are speaking what they're gonna do before they fight Pacquiao. I remember Brandon Rios saying he's gonna do that and that. He had the best training camp in his life, put in the best work ever. Broner saying he's gonna have to be an absolute top of his game to beat Pacquiao when they fight. And when we see the fight happen, they just refuse to throw. They just stop throwing punches. Like Timothy Bradley said, who fought Pacquiao 3 times, he said, when you try to hit Manny and he counters, you just light flashes in your eyes. You don't see where the punch came from, it's just light flashing in the eyes, and that's what puts these people so much off their rhythm, that Pacquiao, he finds the angles of combinations, he finds the angles of his footwork. He finds these certain patterns that put their opponents completely off their game and make them so hesitant to throw, and seeing him still doing that at 40 years old against such a talented, prepared fighter like Adrien Broner is really beautiful to watch. What Manny Pacquiao can still to this day do in the ring, and his mental warfare and his boxing abilities. Right now I'd say Pacquiao is just a shade of what he was when he was at his prime, because he was putting like twice as much work right as now. His punching volume was pretty much double in his prime years. Now he's much more calculated, doesn't waste so many punches, more accurate, but ultimately not so dangerous, because his volume, his pressure is just slowed down a lot. And now these top dogs of the division obviously wanna fight Pacquiao. They don't see the Pacquiao that they own, so now they see some vulnerabilities in the aging Pacquiao, and now everybody wants that money fight. We see Thurman, Horn, Crawford, everybody talking about Pacquiao now. But let's get back to the Adrien Broner. So, being said that he came to fight in serious shape and he was physically prepared, the problem that he faced in the ring was his mentality. I think that was the biggest break of him in that fight, the biggest problem for him in that fight, because you can have the abilities, the skills of Floyd Mayweather, of Sugar Ray Leonard, etc. It won't matter if you are not mentally in the zone. If you are mentally off in a fight, you won't be able to find the right timing, to find the right spots to use these abilities in your techniques. That's why it's so important for a fighter to stay disciplined, to meditate, to keep his mind clear leading up to the fight, something that Manny Pacquiao and Floyd Mayweather, both of known, are doing. Just Bernard Hopkins, another example, just sick discipline from top to bottom. And what we see with Broner, he relies on his talent and on his confidence, but we all know that he has a hell of an ego. And having that kind of an ego, I hardly see him fighting sea-level fighters. He wants to take over boxing every time. But every time he seriously steps up the competition, he gets beaten soundly. And it's very hard for him to evolve as a fighter and to fix his mistakes when he, for the most part, cannot admit his mistakes. Similar to Chris Eubank Jr., he also cannot say that he lost a fight after he loses a fight. And it's really bad when a boxer cannot admit that, because it's so important to get better, to learn from these mistakes, to fix them when you get back to the gym. And if you thought you're the best and if you think that you won the fight, you won't be able to get better enough. And that being said, I think the biggest problem of Adrien Broner is his mentality. I honestly believe that he is mentally sick, and by saying that, I want to add that a lot of people don't have a slightest idea of what actually is a sick mentality, because it's impossible for a person to understand such things if he never dealt with the psychological issues, with the mental issues himself. There are some serious chemical and biological reactions going through some people's brains that makes their minds like that, that makes them unhealthy. And I remember watching Adrien Broner's interview when he was just 12 years old, and back then he was training in the gym, and they asked him, what would you do if you wasn't boxing? And he, at 12 years old, he already said, I would be selling drugs, stealing, robbing. And I think that's already a sign of a damaged mentality when a 12-year-old boy doesn't imagine making a living without being a superstar, without being a rap artist, a boxer, or a thug. It's already shows that something is off, and it never changed. Seeing Adrien Broner through his career, to me it looks like he never really solved his mental issues, and I think they been there through his whole career, through his whole life. I think he had these mental issues and he just couldn't solve them, and that's why I believe he cannot beat any top fighter. Every time he steps up to that world level, he gets beat up, because these guys, these are killers, top dogs of the division. I mean, you won't beat them by talent, you ain't gonna intimidate them. These guys put in sick amount of work, sick amount of discipline. Porter, Danny Garcia, all these top dogs of the division, you need to be mentally and physically on top of your game to beat these guys. Otherwise, you not only you can get beat up, you can get seriously hurt. These guys don't mess around, and that's why Broner cannot beat them. And given his confidence and his ego, his next fight should be big. I mean, physically he looked very sharp. At times he looked, to me, his hands looked faster than Pacquiao. But mentally, if he doesn't resolve these issues, I think he's gonna retire a broken man, as we've seen so many examples in the history of boxing. People, fighters who make 10, 20, 50 million in their careers and retire broke. And as it looks right now, it seems like Adrien Broner is gonna be one of these people. And it's really sad, given that he's so talented. He has an amazing chin, a really good heart. No matter how hard the fight is, he stays in there, he sees it through. I have respect for Adrien Broner for being such a tough guy, really taking this punishment and just working his way through every round, not looking a ways out in a fight. He has balls, and you gotta give him that, but it's just sad to see him wasted like that when he really could be what he always wanted to be, the next Floyd Mayweather. And another issue, I think he tries to imitate Floyd Mayweather's style a bit too much. I don't think they have the same physicality, the same physical attributes, Floyd and Broner. And I believe Broner should really work a little deeper into his own way of fighting. Knowing that he has such a talent, he must feel what kind of boxing style suits him best, because at the times you really see him trying to do things that Floyd does and just not being able to execute him up to the way that Floyd does, just not being able to find their timing. And as I said earlier, it's really hard to use such an abilities and techniques if you're mentally off in a fight. You won't be able to find that range as we saw in a Pacquiao fight, and you won't be able to find their timing. And that being said, I think that Adrien Broner should seriously start to be working on his mental issues and find some good sport psychologists that could give him some help. And then I believe he still can fight. He's not done. One guy asked me, Robert Garcia is the master at resurrecting the career of a fighter. Could he help Adrien Broner? And at first I said yes, he could. But then when I put some thought into it, I believe Broner has a really good team. We saw him physically; he's in tremendous shape. But it's not these issues that stop him from stepping up to that world class level right now. It's these mental issues, and I really would like to see him address these before he fights world champion again.